Hey guys, Hackersploit here, back again with another video, and we're going to be picking off where we left off from, which is basically the Linux terminal and how to get really comfortable with it. So in this video we're going to be looking at some Linux commands and hopefully they'll make you a much better Linux user. There are quite some good commands that I found that are quite useful and what I've found to be the best that you should be knowing. So open up your terminal and let's get started. So in the previous video, we talked about how to customize the terminal to your liking in terms of visuality and aesthetics, but now we're going to get started with the nitty-gritty. So the first thing I think that you should know is how to enter root mode or the root or administrator. It's basically like having an administrator privileges if you're used to Windows. So by default, I'm actually in the root user right now. I've not actually created a profile, as you can see. I have not created a personal profile with my name or anything like that. If you did, however, it would, if you opened a terminal, you would not be in the root directory. So in order for you to do that, there are two ways you can go about it. By using the SU, which is SU or super user. If you hit enter, it's going to take you into root. If you have a root password, it's going to ask you for your root password, and once you enter that, it's going to take you into root mode. The other way of doing it is sudo bash. Alright. And if you hit that again, it's going to ask you for a password if you had a root password, which I recommend you do, and then it's going to take you into root. Now, one more command. If you want to clear your terminal up, let's say you have a lot of commands and you want to start over, just use the clear command. Pretty simple, right? And that clears everything for you. All right, now let's get started. So I'm currently in the root directory, but what if I didn't know that? Like for many of you, for example, if you're going to be connecting to a Linux server, the only thing that you're going to have at your disposal is the terminal. And it's very essential that you know how to navigate the file system, the Linux file systems, and know how to check where you are exactly. So how would we do that? So right now, let's say I wanted to check what my current working directory was, and how would I do that? We use the pwd, which means print working directory. Pretty simple. And if I hit enter, it's going to tell me I'm in root. All right. So at least I know I'm in root now. Now let's say I want to change. Let's say instead of root, I want to move on to my desktop, right? So what would I do? Let's see. If I list all files in root, all right. Before we move further, let's say I wanted to move into my desktop. How would I do that? So the command for that is cd, which literally translates to change directory. All right, pretty simple. Linux, the terminal commands are really very simple, and as I said, it gets really intuitive, user intuitive. So it's change directory and desktop. This is case sensitive. Of course, the desktop is a very I like to say that Linux takes their file structure very seriously. So cd desktop, and it's going to take me to my desktop. So I'm currently now working on the desktop. What if I wanted to see the files listed on my desktop? Right now I currently have no files or folders, so we really won't get anything out of that. Alright, so let's say we wanted to create a folder or a directory on the desktop. How would we go about doing that? Well, we would use the mkdir, which translates to make directory, and we give the directory a name. So let's call it folder 2 or folder 1. And as you can see, it's going to create a folder on your desktop called folder 1. What if I wanted to get rid of this folder? What would I do? Well, for that, I would use the rmdir, and I would give the folder that I want to remove, folder 2. All right, but remember, oops, excuse me, it's actually folder 1, rmdir, folder 1. But as I said, remember, let me just clear the terminal. We are creating all of these directories, and let's say we created a directory like a week ago and we don't remember what directories exist on the desktop. How do we display what directories exist? So let's say I create another folder and I call it folder 1. All right, let's create folder 1. And let's create another folder called folder 3, folders 6055, for example. So we have this bunch of folders on the desktop. How would we list whatever we have on the desktop? because remember, there's very in most situations you're not going to get a graphical user interface to your at your advantage or at your fingertips. So the command we use is the ls command, which translates to list. All right, so if we hit that, it's going to tell you, it's going to display what folders and files you have on your desktop. In addition, the ls command also has some parameters that can fine-tune your display results. So let's say we wanted some more information about the folders, like we wanted to know what user created the folder, at what time it was created, information like that. So to add a parameter, we use the hyphen and L. All right, L is the parameter, but to add a parameter we use the hyphen. The parameter we are going to be using now is L, which is going to show additional information about the folders and files. So let's hit enter, and as you can see, it's going to tell you that these are the permissions. All right, so whether users able to read, write, or edit, modify, or delete the files or folders. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with file permissions. You then have the person who created them. In this case, we know it's root. You have the time of creation and the name. All right, so we also have another ls command that will allow us to fine-tune our results again, but this time this command is going to allow us to view all the files on the desktop, whether or not they are hidden, literally everything that's on the desktop, and that is the lsa command. All right, the lsa command will display everything that you have on the desktop or in the directory that you're currently in. So I'm going to hit enter, and as you can see, it's going to display everything. We have nothing else really, so yeah, it's not going to display it. All right, so we've actually talked about quite a lot now. Now, one really important thing that we have to look at. Firstly, let me just get rid of some folders. Folder 3 and folder 55. Oh, excuse me. Folder 55 not found. All right, let me just remove that manually. Remove directory, folder 55. There we are. All right, we can clear that up. So we've talked about navigating with the change directory, but we have not talked about moving backwards, because we said we can use the cd to navigate into a directory, and so on and so forth. But what if we wanted to go backwards? Right now we're on the desktop. What if we wanted to go backwards? Well, we use the cd, but we use a space and use 2 full stops. All right, that will take you backwards, and that takes me back to my root, as you can see. And if we list all files in root, as you can see, it's going to tell you the files that exist on your root inside your root directory. So again, from here you can browse into any other directory that you want. But let's go back into desktop. Excuse me, that was actually quite weird. CD desktop, that doesn't make any sense at all. So CD desktop. All right, so we've talked about going back. We've talked about changing directory, listing files, printing the working directory. What else do we need to look at? We've talked about clear. All right, one more thing I want to talk about, very important. As I said, there are going to be some in-terminal editors, text editors, that you have to learn how to use them, because as I said, the terminal is pretty much the only thing you're going to have at your disposal. So let me just create a small little document. I'm going to save it on the desktop. All right, or I can save it in folder 1. So let's just type some random stuff. Let's say, hello, this is an encrypted file with info with what my typing is with information about UFOs. All right, so I'm gonna save this as a document on my desktop in folder 1. I'm gonna call this secrets. All right, just a stupid little name, and I'm gonna save it. Now remember, as I said, a leaf pad, which is what I used to create the document, is not going to work if you're connecting to a remote server or through SSH. So it's very important to know how to use the inbuilt text editors. All right. I'm not going to be covering that in this lecture. We'll look at the editors like Nano in the next lecture, in the next couple of lectures, and we have Vim, which is very, very useful. But let's look at how we can just display the contents of a file just on the terminal without any formatting or any stuff like that. So let's browse into the folder that we saved that in, which is folder 1, where we save the document. And if we clear the terminal now, and let's have a look what's inside. So we have secrets. All right, pretty cool. So the command we use to display everything or to display the contents of the file, not really format it in a way that is respective to the nature of the file, we use the cat command. All right, the cat command and secrets, we use the tab button, it will auto complete it for us. So cat secrets, and as you can see, it displays whatever you typed in that document. As I said, you have other editors like Nano, all right, which you can open up and you can type whatever you want. Let's say this is also an my typing today, an encrypted document. All right, and to save it out, to print it, to basically output the file, we use O, and we let's give it a name. Let's call it encrypted doc2, and I'm gonna hit enter, and it's I wonder where it saved it. Actually, that's quite interesting. Oh yes, it did save it in folder 2, as you can see, encrypted doc2. Now if you want to exit Nano, don't worry about whatever I'm doing in Nano right now. This will get to using Nano in a few other lectures, so let's clear that. And if we list all the files in the folder 1 right now, you can see that we have the encrypted doc2, which I created with Nano, and the secrets, which I created with LeafPad, which is a GUI text editor. So if I wanted to display a document with Nano, what would I do? I use Nano, which is a text editor, and I use the secrets. Let's say we wanted to use secrets, and as you can see, it's going to display it out pretty well as well. So it works quite well. So I'm going to exit that, and let's see what else we need to look into. I know the video is getting quite long now. Let me just move back to my desktop. So what do we need to look into right now? Here we are. So one of the most important resources that you'll have ever in Linux is the manual. Linux does come with a manual, believe it or not. For those of you who are quite skeptical about the documentation surrounding Linux, Linux comes with a full-on manual. Now you might be asking, well, how do I access this manual? The great thing is you can access it. With in your terminal. So let's say you wanted to know about the copy or the change directory command. All right, so man, and let's say you use the copy command. Oops, excuse me, man and cp. All right, let me just start that over. Man means manual. All right, so you're telling the terminal, open the manual, and the command I want you to look into is cp. As you can see, it's going to open up a manual, and it's going to give you all the information about the copy command. And you can go through it and look. This is how I learned Linux, just going through the manual, looking at the different attributes you can use, and I'm guessing you get the idea. And it's quite simple. You can navigate the manual very, very simply. Oh, we have got a NVIDIA graphics drive available. Well, I'm not going to look into that for a while. And it's very simple. You press H for help, and Q to quit. So I'm going to quit. The manual is one thing at your advantage. The other thing that you have at your advantage is the help command. So let's say we can use let's use cp, which is copy. I'll be talking to you guys about how to use the copy and the move commands in the next lecture, because that requires quite a lot of explaining, and you have to get the directories right and blah blah blah. So cp, and the next command is help, which is a universal command that will give you help with any command that you have. As you can see, it's given us everything, and I know I've used this before in previous videos, but I really didn't explain that the help command is very, very, very useful. I mean, it's awesome. So as you can see, it's going to tell you, it's going to give you a lot of the commands and what they do, and you get the idea. It's a help command. So let's clear that up. And yeah, we've actually talked about a lot of commands in this video, and there's still a lot that we'll get into, like as I said, copying, you know, compressing files, the works really. So that's basically it for this video, guys. I hope you found value in this video. If you enjoyed the video or you liked it, please leave a like down below. It really does help. If you didn't like the video, please let me know why you didn't in the comment section below. Your feedback is always appreciated. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section, on my social networks, or on Kick. I'm always available on Kick, almost 24/7, apart from when I obviously have to get some shut-eye, but I try and respond as quickly as possible. One more thing, guys, I've just hit 8,000 subscribers. I mean, it's mind-blowing how far I've come. I mean, I couldn't have believed that I would have reached this far, and I just want to say thank you. You know, thank you so very much for the support. You guys are amazing, and it's probably, I think, the best community on YouTube right now in terms of support. So thank you so very much, and as always, I'm committed to providing you guys with content on a daily basis. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day.